Wow, this swap between the morning and the evening. Wow. Good morning, folks. This is Norman John Baptiste, also known as Bapu, here with you this morning with Upfront with John Baptiste. Wow. I just for a while there, it was like I was starting off the evening program, the Friday evening program choices. But let me just, it's good that I went there because I want to let folks know that we do have a program on Friday evenings. Every Friday evening, I've got some young people with me, and we're talking choices. We're discussing decisions made, decisions that can be bad, decisions that may be not so good, but all these decisions come with consequences. So you got to be careful in terms of what you choose, in terms of what you decide to do. And so basically, with the Friday evening program, that's what we focus on. Getting the young people to speak about their take on various challenges, issues, what have you, that they're confronted with. So we want to get their perspective on different items, and so that's what we do on Friday evenings. We're on from 7 till 8:30, and then of course Monday mornings I'm here with you by myself, unless I have a guest appearing. I'm here by myself with Upfront with John Baptiste, and of course this program runs from 10 until 12. Now, I generally take a pause, if I may, a pause from the real meat of the day's discourse to just simply publicly state that I believe in a creator. I believe in a higher power, not just a higher power, but the highest power, the source, if I may, the source of all that we see, all that we experience. There is a philosopher. Wow, was it Voltaire? I forget which one of them. There is a philosopher who said that if God did not exist, it would have been necessary to invent God. And there is another one who said, I don't think it's the same person. There is another one who said that God is the sine qua non of existence. In other words, without God, nothing. And I know we have divergent views in terms of how we conceive of God, what's our notion, our understanding of who God is. And in some circles, we don't even want to use the term God. We use other expressions, the source, the all, the creator most high, because the word God can be sort of generic when you go into its origins. And so it's not a term that we want to use and just, throw it around to represent the creator most high, the prime mover, the prime source of all that we have. But nonetheless, be it what it may, I am thankful to be here on earth, to be alive. And I didn't come here by myself. I don't recall making a decision that I wanted to be here. Neither am I in control in terms of when I make my departure from this life, because there is going to come a point where I will not be here anymore. And when I'm not here, I will be elsewhere. Where exactly is that elsewhere, I can't tell you, but I anticipate that I will be elsewhere, because I think I've come to a point where I can consciously differentiate between me physical as opposed to me spiritual. And so, whilst the physical remains, will be here, unless, of course, whatever, even if we decided to cremate, the ashes would be there and would be disposed of in some manner. But the spirit, the question is, that spirit which lives in this physical tabernacle, where is the spirit when you get to the point of death? Death is really a separation of spirit from body, and so that's the kind of philosophy that I have. In addition to that, folks, I've had several experiences in life, some things that I'm not at liberty to repeat, but I've had experiences where I should have been dead long time ago, and I escaped without a scratch in some inexplicable manner. And so I know that there are higher forces. Now, hear me well, higher forces who have intervened on my behalf, but I think those higher forces are subject to the highest force, the highest, greatest entity, which is beyond all of this, that reality that we see. And so I try to live life in accordance with my individual purpose vis-a-vis the collective purpose, because I think there is a collective purpose for all of us, and we also have individual purposes. And so I try to make that distinction and be respectful as I proceed in life. Anyway, um, our numbers here, we want this to be engaging. We want folks to call in and share with us on different subject matter. Some I will initiate, others I hope you can initiate. And the numbers are 773-0390 and 773-0490, the numbers to call. I think I might have seen evidence. Well, let's see. Apparently, whoever was online has hung up. So again, you can feel free to call in 773-0390, 773-0490, and of course the area code is 340. Now, having said that, I want to also, last week, Monday, I didn't come to this program. There was something I wanted to do to surprise my wife. I've been married to my wife and I, we've been married for 40 plus years. We have two children, a boy and a girl. The boy's name is Ambakisi. And Ambakisi means, it's African, it means God has been merciful unto me. I had experienced the mercies of God in a very deep um, manner. And so when I came across the name Ambakisi, I thought it was appropriate that I named him Ambakisi. My daughter's name is Mandisa Love. Her middle name is Love. My son doesn't have a middle name, but my daughter has a middle name, Love. And the name Mandisa, which comes from South Africa, means sweet. So her name really is Sweet Love, you know. That's why sometimes on the other program, I refer to her as Mandy Love, M Love, you know. Um, Her first name coupled with the middle name. And so it's been a wonderful 40 plus years. To be exact, it's 43 years of marriage. It wasn't always smooth sailing, but I can say to you that, for 90% of it, it's been great. I might have had a couple of little situations here and there, things I can count on 5 fingers if I have to, you know. I recall one incident when we were involved in business. We disagreed in a serious manner on certain aspects of running the business. And there might have been a couple of other times where we disagreed on certain things. We might have had a disagreement in terms of my intention at one time to relocate to the mainland. But basically, we've had a wonderful relationship, and I thank God for that. And so I've already expressed happy birthday to her. I was going to play a song, but we were having some problems with Facebook and songs that we play on the program, so I've chosen not to do that. Let me see if I have somebody online. Um, Hello, caller. Good morning and welcome.
Pleasant good morning. Happy Paradise Monday.
Good morning to you and welcome to the program. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
By the way, I've not heard your voice on the evening program on Fridays.
Well, I missed that one, the last one, and it is not coming on Facebook. Neither is this show that I'm listening. I'm listening to it on the radio. Okay. I don't know if it's coming on TuneIn, but it's not coming. It's not streaming on Facebook.
Okay, it's not streaming on WSTX Facebook page.
Right.
Yeah, but it would be streaming on my Facebook page. For sure.
Okay, so and your Facebook page is it says what? What's the title?
I'm just Norman John Baptiste on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
The one for the evening is choices. But this one
yeah.
here, yeah. If you just
I just missed that last one
hmm
because I had an event, the Calypso show, which was great. Keeping our culture alive here in the territory.
hmm
So, and I was looking forward to hearing the rewind, but I wasn't able to.
hmm
But I know it's an important show, and I have promoted it.
hmm
I will share it once I go to your page. I will share it to my page at a post because we do have young people who are making a positive difference in our community. Not all bad, We do, and we need to highlight them because, well, none of us is going to be here forever. So we need to pass on the baton.
And I'm going to tell you something. Passing on the baton is quite a challenge because I don't know to what extent we have adequately prepared our young ones to, to slide into their spot in this community. I see so much that is lacking that we've not given to them what we should have given in terms of human resource development. And so I do have some concerns.
We have to work on that. We collectively doing our part. The government is going to do everything for you. So we got to do our part as a community activist. I volunteer my time and my energy to educate and enlighten and inspire minds in the territory. My particular topic is the Constitution, and I want to enlighten the public by giving an update. My understanding is the Sixth Constitutional Convention has requested an extension to submit the document in March of 2026 instead of 31st of October. So I guess it's a trick or treat. We sure gained the trick. It's not a treat.
That's interest. That's an interesting development. But and I want to touch on some things related to that. But before we go there, lest I forget, let me just mention that the folks who are behind Ribbons for a Cure, Ribbons for a Cure Inc. I got some notification from them because they were supposed to have been on with us Friday night, but things fell through the crack. Anyway, and they sent me a notification which says that Ribbons for the Cure Inc. is pleased to announce the winners for our breast cancer awareness raffle drawing. The first prize, which is 2 nights, 3-day holiday at Buccaneer Hotel, and that was won by one Estelle McIntosh. The second prize, a view of the Frederick State Fort, which is an original artwork by Elwin Joseph. That was won by ticket number 863, Stacey Richards. The third prize, which is a 55-inch smart television courtesy of Costuless. That was won by Ernest Lynch with ticket number 308. The fourth prize, Pink Ribbon Collection bracelet courtesy of Sonia's Limited, won by Antonio Stevens, ticket number 776. And the fifth prize, Dinner for Two at Duggan's Reef, won by Dave Davis, ticket number 1169. The 50-50 raffle was won by Kimberly Santana, and that was a prize of $265. Kudos to the enthusiastic attendees at the cocktail party and raffle drawing hosted at the Social Bear Garden. All of our raffle tickets were sold out. We are grateful to the community for your overwhelming support. We also extend our sincere appreciation to all the businesses for their generosity in donating the prizes. Proceeds from this event will benefit our financial assistance program and scholarship fund. And I think it's very good that we have people in the community who have formed groups, banded together to bring about awareness of cancer, especially breast cancer, as it impacts negatively our female population, and that they're raising funds to assist the victims of such a savage illness, if I may characterize it as such, in their search for medical treatment and other assistance that they would need. Actually, I forget the exact amount I was told, the amount of money it costs just to have a round of chemotherapy, but it's pretty expensive treating cancer. And so it's good that we have people who are playing an active role in terms of supporting the victims. And I want to just commend them for what they're doing. The young lady who made contact with me, her name is Atasha Randolph. And so I want to thank her. There are others I know who are involved and doing a lot of work in that regard. And of course, kudos to them as well. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I joined in congratulating the winners and commending all those various organizations and individuals involved in raising awareness of breast cancer and other types of cancer, and doing their part to educate and let the people know that there are many out there, many programs that you could get assistance with. And there are lots, but I will mention a few names. I went Saturday, October 25th, to what was called the Queen of Hearts, Queen and King for a night. There was a candlelight dinner and crowning ceremony, which was held in the terrace room at the Buccaneer Hotel. And it also was a tribute to Yvonne Ashley Dalabere, who the founder of the YAG Foundation, Yvonne Ashley Dalabere Foundation, which was an organization to assist those with getting proper treatment and prevention of breast cancer. Unfortunately, she passed away. And so we were there to honor her memory, her work for her part. And also, who helped to organize this event was this organization, the Breast Cancer Project. A good friend of mine is the director of that. I don't know if you ever heard of her name, Diane Hamilton. So she was involved in that project. Also, was responsible bringing a dynamic entertainer to the territory who visited for the first time one of the members of the Platters, and Joe Cole, and he played last night too. He performed last night along with Tony Richards and other members of our community. They had a concert. It was absolutely amazing concert at Prosperity Farm Distillery. Have you been there yet?
I've not been there. I keep seeing the ads popping up on my page, but I've not been there as yet.
And so he performed, and this was his first time visiting St. Croix, and so he got a gracious welcome, and it was his birthday too, so we celebrated his birthday. And also a good friend of mine who's back, I was surprised to see her. She's an entertainer too, Venus. You heard of Venus? Back in the territory. I didn't know she was back. She performed, did excellent too. And we have another event coming up, a bowling event to bowl. And we had individuals came on my show to talk about it, and I've been spreading a message about that. To get involved,
So let me, as you mentioned bowling, we do have a bowling alley on island.
is a bowling alley.
And how come I don't hear much about it? It's almost as though I had forgotten that we have a bowling alley until you mentioned that.
I don't know.
You know.
And well, the owner, it has donated that bowling alley to have this event where you could form teams and you bowl and you raise funds to help in this combating this disease and treatment, finding a cure for breast cancer, because it's mentioned that the oil refinery is supposed to restart, and I believe that's a contributing factor to the high rate of cancer in the territory.
Well, and let me just say this. The refinery did a lot of good in terms of economic development for the territory, not just for St. Croix, but for the territory and even neighboring Caribbean islands. And matter of fact, yesterday I attended an event at the drive-in, which is now referred to as Blue Bamboo, and during discussions with two individuals, they spoke about folks who had recently passed away. They spoke about one individual in particular who is now suffering from, I think, lung cancer or some form of cancer. And the connection, the dots were being connected in terms of persons who worked at the refinery and who have, succumbed to cancer or are currently being treated with cancer following their employment at the refinery. Now, the sad thing is that we were supposed to have a cancer registry here in the territory that should have helped us in terms of tracking the source of the illness. For some reason, that has never been fully implemented. And so a lot of what we're doing involves guesswork, if I may, as to what's the real source of the high incidence of cancer in the territory, whether it is breast cancer, prostate cancer, you name it. For example, persons who work with asbestos, if the residue is on their garments and they go home with a garment where members of the household wash those garments, somehow it is believed that contaminants can go from the clothing that they wore to the other individuals in the house, and which can result in them coming down with cancer. So, and I believe this is documented information that I'm sharing here. But we still want to have a better means of identifying the persons who come down with cancer and tracing, their involvement, their engagement in the community, so that we can make a positive determination as to whether the refinery has been a contributing source of cancer in the territory. And because there are other things that contribute to cancer, even in terms of nutrition. Nutritional deficiencies can lead to that. When you look at things such as even the number of vehicles we have driving on the road, and the exhaust coming from vehicles, all of these things can contribute to cancer. And then we understand that sun exposure can be a cause of skin cancer. So I'm just saying that.
I think the exhaust from the car.
Yeah.
Don't live in, you're exposed to cancer.
Yeah. So right. So I'm saying that we have failed. If we have a legislation that calls for us to have a cancer registry that would better empower us to trace the source of the illness, to find out
if
I've
been hearing about that, so I don't know what's up there. I've been hearing they were supposed to have some cancer registry, and
how long
the funding is the issue.
You know how long this has been on the books, and we still cannot have it fully implemented? Come on.
Well, in the meantime, like I said, if you're waiting for the government to do certain things, you'll be waiting in vain. You'll be waiting to exhale. So we just have to do what we can here is the next event I want to mention. We still October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but
Right.
it is a film showing God's grace as a story that it said create your pink as artistic costume contest with a costume contest for second or prize.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be held at the Caribbean Cinemas Friday, October 31st. From 5 to 8, Art of Healing, Threads of Resilience, Healing Art, Heritage, and Culture.
Mm-hmm.
So these, I mean...
What's the cost? What's the cost for that particular event?
I don't see any cost.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's a film showing.
Mm-hmm.
The Sheila Johnson story.
Mm-hmm.
So all I could say is people just this event is part of this breast cancer awareness month.
Mm-hmm.
The various activities taking place.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am glad that you're sharing that with us because it's important that people know. It's important that people can put themselves in a preventative mode as well, so as to deal with that. And we want to extend kudos to all those persons out there who deal with the issue of awareness of breast cancer.
Melanie Rain, she was on, and other folks.
Well, even public,
I can't recall all the names, yeah. But I'm just saying out there. Here is the information I have. Bowling for a Cure Breast Cancer Awareness, Saturday, November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 7, Tropical 10 Things Bowling Center, Casikoku Christianston.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's $125 per team, 4 person per team, includes shoes, and bowling. Proceeds go to YAG Breast Cancer Foundation. I mentioned that about Yvonne Ashley Gallagher Breast Cancer Foundation. So these events are for us here and in the St. Croix community.
Mm-hmm. And also, we should also mention that public safety has been promoting awareness because they have their vehicles with all these ribbons and different things depicting breast cancer awareness. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Okay, so.
And the health department involved, so like I said, you have the hospital down. When people listen to some of these vociferous voices in the areas, they would think this is the worst place on the planet Earth. Okay, somebody asked me, so there's no hospital on St. Croix? I said, listen, they're just exaggerating. Yes, there's a facility there, John. We have that. However, like many other infrastructure, it's a need. The government does that very, very slowly. Waka, we had issues. I've been in and out with power. We have a lot of issues, but despite all of that, I think we need to be grateful, and I pray for all those who have been impacted by Hurricane Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not totally out the woods. We had a hurricane in November one time,
mm-hmm.
but we so far have been fortunate, and we can never let our guard down. We have to pray for the best, prepare for the worst. But with all of this that's taking place, I still think the most important thing is we have people in this community that really truly care and want to see a better Virgin Islands.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we have different approaches, ideas of how that can be achieved. But I believe we all to do our part. Like they say, the three C's: working in the government and working for the government and by the government, collaboration, um, what's it, collaboration, compromise, cooperation, something to that effect. I don't know. Yeah, everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, we could each do our part.
Mm-hmm.
It is not all bad. We have good things happening. It's good to highlight the positives and whatever we can suggest to improve. I know with WAPA, I put it out there, and instead of dealing with the issue, I get verbally attacked. My question was, do you want a federal bailout of WAPA? Pretty much is what one of the senators from St. Thomas is suggesting. And then I just got barrage of people how they feel, disappointed, distracted, angry. They be oppressed by WAPA, all of that. But wisdom and reasoning must prevail.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a better idea how we could go about it, because I don't think vilifying Carmite is the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think expressing how miserable you are is going to solve the problem either.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thought on that? You would like to see a federal bailout. You like the federal government coming here and say, y'all can't run this place, so let me just take it over. Especially with Trump.
Uh-huh. And when you say a federal bailout of WAPA, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, what it appears to me is it's saying that the utility company is experiencing a lot of issues with money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Budget money.
Mm-hmm.
A federal bailout, in my understanding, would be the federal government come and put an infusion of cash, also with some stipulations.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding of a federal bailout.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know exactly what Francisco got in mind, but I heard Carl Knight, the CEO of WAPA, responded to that because he was mostly referring to the senator,
mm-hmm.
to the St. Thomas aspect,
mm-hmm.
and not so much overall because there's only one utility company, it's just WAPA, the
mm-hmm.
entire territory.
Mm-hmm.
And Carl Knight was explaining on After Valley show what they're doing and, the situation, how they're dealing with customers, getting homeowners bills like Greener Brad House.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, glitches occur. However, I do think they're trying their best. But if their best isn't good enough and somebody else has a better idea, let me know.
Well, let me just say a couple of things in response to what you just stated. First off, we should always learn from the mistakes, the travels of others, if I may put it that way. The federal government pumped a lot of money into Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And even then, they're still having major problems with the power situation over in Puerto Rico. So to think that simply because you're going to pour in money, that's going to solve the situation. Sometimes you're putting good money after bad money, and it all become mixed so that it's a terrible mix that you have. The second thing I want to say is that you have to look at our situation here in the territory with WAPA and, do some kind of, how should I put it? It's almost as though you have to do a comprehensive audit or evaluation of the utility. And you'll find out that the major problem we're having has to do with generation. The generators that we have and the generators that we have under contract and problems that they've been experiencing. And we need to find out why exactly this has not worked. And then we have to look at the situation on St. Thomas as opposed to what's happening here on St. Croix, because we have a number of solar farms going up in St. Croix that's going to help alleviate some of the problems we're experiencing here on the island of St. Croix in particular.
St. Croix got more solar farms, right?
Right, you know. And
but
so
I heard Carl Knight saying, and which was surprising, because I absolutely seemed surprised too, until he explained. He said the power plant is more efficient at St. Thomas. However, the service is more reliable at St. Croix. And I was like, what? Let me see if I understand correctly. And then he explained, in terms of producing the energy for St. Thomas is less costly than for St. Croix. But for St. Croix, you get less of the power outages. So you got more reliable services. Now, maybe it doesn't make sense for some people. The best thing is for Carl Knight, I believe he should be coming on my show soon, because I think the public needs to hear the information more, so that you don't have people misleading the public, giving erroneous information, and speaking on behalf of WAPA when they don't even live in the territory. And they're not experiencing what we're experiencing, but somehow gloating, I was this, I've been that, and I know what to do, I know more than Carl Knight, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just saying, especially now that we're not getting the recording of the show, so I would have liked to hear the show again for Abdullahi and spread the information, because I think that was pertinent information that he gave out. But that seems to be a major concern, a major anxiety.
Yeah, hear me out on this here, Vidal. I'm not an electrician. And I'm assuming we have electrical engineers who can perhaps take the statement by Carl Knight and analyze that and tell us whether it is truthful, factual, or not. Based on what I have read in the past, when I served at the legislature and we were looking at different things involving WAPA, one of the things I learned was that the load factor sometimes have a lot to do with generators failing, etc. And the demand in St. Thomas appears to have been higher than demand on St. Croix, especially at peak times of operation. And so when the demand is very high and you put a strain on your generating facilities, then that can result in certain generators, going down, breaking down, requiring service, etc. And so maybe that can explain the reason why you have more outages in the St. Thomas St. John district as opposed to here in St. Croix, because I think that demand is much higher in the St. Thomas St. John district than here in St. Croix. So that may explain.
Well, yes, that would be true. I don't know all the intricacies.
Well, like I say, I
have a basic understanding. My minor was chemistry, but I took a lot of courses in physical science. So I have a basic understanding of Ohm's law. I think people need to be educated on how to read the meter and monitor it yourself and conserve energy.
Yeah, but
I don't have my AC on 24/7. I know of people who actually leave the AC, and I'm like, are you kidding? I told somebody, try this. I mean, you leave your AC on, you don't turn on. I said that doesn't make any sense. Why would you leave your AC on and you have to work? I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but
I said, try this. You only put your AC on and make sure your bedroom, if it's just in a bedroom, is well insulated. Put it on for a couple hours, shut it off, turn on a fan. Your room will stay cool for the rest of the night, because that's what I do. I sleep well. After that AC shut off and the fan is going, that will stay insulated and cool. So some people need to be educated to how to conserve energy. People leave on like you need to unplug certain things. I can't tell you last time I use an iron. I wear clothes I don't require iron. I'm on a vacation anyway. I'm on a permanent dream vacation, so I don't need to be.
But
I'm not even.
But hear me out, Amavudia. And I'm not trying to point a finger at Cal Knight because he came on board recently. But let's face facts here. We had some contract with those persons for the Watsela generators. They have been problematic. We had the new smart meters installed. That has been problematic. And they've been constantly reviewing whatever contract they have with the company and trying to see how they can correct things. There was a point where they could have just, disconnections could have taken place from the office, WAPA's offices. And for some reason, the smart meters weren't working right. So if they had to disconnect, they have to come to your house to disconnect. They could no longer do it at the office. The whole thing has been a disaster. We were promised some 30% reduction with the installation of certain solar units. Yeah, and up to now, this has not panned out. Now, to take it a step further, I saw a clip on Facebook, I think it was, where Senator Kurt Viale was questioning government officials in terms of monies that have been paid out to GEC for the construction of the Paul E. Joseph Stadium. And the amount of money is expended so far, and you can't see the production for those monies expended. And the contractor is now asking for more monies, giving them some kind of deadline when he wants X amount of money to be paid. And I'm saying, when you look at how, for example, if I took a loan from the bank to build a house, the bank requires certain performance benchmarks before monies are released. In other words, I get a loan for $200,000. I can just go ahead and pay the contractor $190,000, holding back $10,000, and there are no performance benchmarks to show where, like, after each phase has been completed, that's when monies are released. It is just crazy to tell me that we have a contractor who's building a stadium for us, and we're just paying money without any kind of evaluation of his work performed. Come on, man. You give X amount when they've covered a certain phase. When they go to the next phase, you pay another amount of money. And I'm saying, is that how our government functions? Whether it be certain agencies or the entire government as a whole, we're not doing things right, man. Look at the problems we have with our with our schools when we have a division of maintenance. What's going on with that? Somehow the formula of operation that we have has not been working, and it needs to be addressed. Just doesn't make sense. You got to have.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the people need to put in their proposals. People have solutions. The powers to be may not have all the answers, but I think all of us could contribute in that way. We don't have to see it as we versus them kind of thing.
We shouldn't see it that way. No, we shouldn't see it that way.
He has a bill to pay. He can't explain. He had a bill for $800 and he paid it, but then he went and he challenged it. Like, because he didn't want to get disconnected, because he has a water bill like everybody else.
Okay. And
so he went in there and he questioned it. So anybody just monitor, make sure.
Yeah, but
because mistakes can occur, and I'm like I say.
But here is a difference. Him as the director of the utility, going in there to question his bill, the urgency, the attention he's going to get, you and me, we wouldn't get that.
Well, I can't say anything about that, but I think all of us deserve the same attention.
No, it wouldn't be. It doesn't work like that,
And
Vidal.
well, I know maybe I'm a little too idealistic. I always think the best could happen. I try to see the good in people, but I guess it doesn't always happen.
And I don't want anybody thinking that I have anything against any of the persons who work at WAPA. I'm just simply saying that the system has not been functioning as expected.
Well, I mean, like we that's why I brought it up, because I know that this WAPA situation is a persistent issue. But to move along, like I was saying with the Constitution, I'm disappointed because here it is. We had this grant from the Interior Department, a grant proposal written by Dr. Malik Sekou that involved educating the people on constitutional development. And now you're telling me the 6 constitutional conventions saying they had sufficient money to educate. They need more money and they need more time. I'm like, what are you writing? Wasn't the assignment to look at the 5th draft and the revised Organic Act of 1954 and revise, take out whatever you can? What are they doing? Are they revising our document?
No, but listen to me. It is important for them to inform the general public in terms of what they're doing, in terms of what didn't work at first.
Have you been informed?
Let me hear you.
Have you been informed?
No.
So they're saying now they need money to inform.
Exactly. And when I say I have not been informed, I'm saying that no one has stepped up to the plate to try and disseminate information to the general public. I know what I know because I've done individual research.
Right.
But in terms, right. So, but I'm saying our people need to be informed. Listen, let's be for real here. I saw a clip again on Facebook, a picture of some senators, and you should see the level of discussion where people began making comparisons in terms of, oh, we got too many senators down here. They only have 2 senators per state on the mainland, and it shows.
You don't understand. They don't have a local legislature.
That's what I'm saying. Our people do not know these things, and so it's incumbent upon the powers that be to inform the people, to have them adequately informed about the system of government or governance, and what we have here as opposed to what is on the mainland. When people believe that, oh yeah, 2 senators per state. But listen, folks, every state besides the 2 senators only serve at the federal level. But when you come to the state level, you do have a legislature that comprises of 2 chambers, if I may. An upper house and a lower house.
Nebraska is the only state that have a unicameral legislature.
Like us here in the territory. Okay. But I'm saying these are things that our people need to know. And then the other thing about it is that, our people, man, somehow we don't have to resort to certain forms of language to express ourselves. When I see the obscenities being used sometimes just to express your frustration with the system, we can do better than that, man. We can do better than that. And we're sending the wrong message when, as adults, we disagree with our elected officials and the appointed officials in the government, and to simply highlight our dissatisfaction, we have to resort to employing utilities and all in the ditch expressions, man. We can do better than that.
Well, I mean, the same excuse the previous convention used. They had enough money to educate. And like I was saying, the grant that was approved was in 2 phases. They only approved the first half, about $500,000, and it was about constitutional development. The second half was about political status. But I think we did a good job educating the public. I mean, what more education we need at this point? You just tell us what you have accomplished so what are you going to do? You are going to get any more rights than what the Congress is going to approve. The Congress is going to approve any more rights. As we saw with the fifth draft, you can't exceed they cannot supersede the U.S. Constitution, the draft. So you're not going to get any more rights than you currently have under this present status unincorporated territory.
Well, first,
they're not going to approve. So what are they writing? What are they seeking more rights?
But first of all, brother, let me just share this again. You know, our senators have to be on top of the ball again. They got to control that ball. If the delegates claim that they need to inform the public, they need to educate the public, then they must have a clearly defined set of action steps, if I may, that they're going to take. Tell us exactly how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, you know, what resources you need to do it, etc. Before we can give you any money, before we give you a dime.
And tell us what you have done so far.
Well, before
in all these months, tell me what is there that you have in that document that you have put that is different from the previous document.
And I agree with that, you know, but they have to explain that to the legislature before the legislature gives them a dime.
Right. Is there anything new? Are you coming up with new rights? Because as I said, you're not going to get a document approved if you're asking for special rights for natives. That's not happening under the U.S. flag, under this status. If you want special rights for natives, which we're not technically, in that sense, we're not, because majority of people here are descendants of the African slaves. They were brought from Africa. They weren't here already. It's not like the Arawaks and the Caribs, most of them were exterminated by the Spaniards. They in our DNA, in you probably have Caribs.
So,
in you because you're from St. Lucia. I'm from St. Croix. We have it in our blood, but our African ancestors were brought here. They were not indigenous to the island. Okay? So when you start arguing about native rights, you are running into a problem.
Let me ask you something, Vidal. Do these guys now have a drafted document that where they can show you that they have addressed, if, for example, if they've taken the fifth draft that we had before, are they showing you where they have addressed the 9 concerns from the Congress and the President of the United States?
I want to know. Why they can't at this time?
Have they addressed that? I'm asking you, have they addressed that?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh, well.
All I'm hearing is discussion about definition, the same back to the same thing with a native Virgin Island.
I see. All right.
Things like that.
Okay.
I'm like, come on, we've been there already. You know what I've been educated. The public law 94-584, it says what you can put in here and what you can't put in there. You can't put in no special rights for the native. You can't get property tax exemption for ancestral native Virgin Islanders. And those who don't know what the identity is, you expect a constitution to address your identity?
Who is?
I mean, come on.
Let me ask you something. Who is the spokesperson for the convention?
I don't know. I don't want to speak on behalf of the convention. I just give them my views from my perspective. What I see here is I am personally disappointed because these 15 people were elected. They took an oath. They knew what the legislation said. It was supposed to address the 9 years of concern. I don't know what all these months what they were doing. At this time, just tell us what you have done so far that's different from the others.
All right.
Is there anything new that you put in? Because to me, when it comes down to it, you can't put in any clause there that's going to give you any more rights. So you're not going to have any more rights that you presently have as an unincorporated territory. You could go out there, you could put on your African wear, and you could go up there and be passionate and eloquent and try to persuade them like that some of the delegates from the Fifth Convention. They're not interested. Your feelings are irrelevant. If you don't know who you are, you don't know where you come from, I don't believe a constitution can address that. If you have the identity crisis and you don't know who your ancestors are, you don't know the history, I like to recommend, hey, you waited for the government to just sit down and just pour history in your head and tell you where you come from. But do your research. Your ancestors probably come from some part of Africa. Mostly, you could go and do the research where most of them were dropped off in the West Indies, where they come from. You could do your own research, and then when you tell people, they don't like to hear this. You hear, if I say Africans participate in the African slave trade, you get people that get discombobulated. No, that didn't happen. You don't want to believe it happened, but it did. It's documented. Africans sold Africans into slavery. That is documented. I'm not saying putting up guilt trip or anything. I'm not saying this is what happened. The history occurs. It's one of the most atrocity against humanity. And it's still happening. You still got people who are enslaved today. I can't understand, how we human beings, with all the evolution that's taken place, I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking intellectually, socially, culturally, evolution. You still have people of the mindset that think it's okay to enslave another human being. I'm a human rights advocate. I think all humans should be treated with dignity, with respect and love. And I want to see more rights too as an American, but you're not going to get it under a constitution because it's very specific what the public law states. Very specific. That doesn't mean I want it, but to me this is a political status issue. I want us to be able to vote for the president. I want us to elect a representative to the House of Representatives. I want us to be able to elect 2 state senators.
Hello? Hello? All right. Apparently, Vidal, you went down.
Hello?
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
I want us to have more rights as Americans. But
so let me ask you something, Vidal. The Constitution has a Bill of Rights. Am I correct?
Yes.
And the Bill of Rights guarantees the very rights that you're saying that you want the people to have. Is that not the case?
You're talking the U.S. Constitution, right?
The draft document that we're working with does contain a Bill of Rights.
The draft?
Yeah.
I don't know what's in
It does.
The fifth draft or the fifth draft?
The fifth draft does have
the fifth draft has a Bill of Rights.
Okay, so all right. So hear me out. When the Constitution is being drafted, it is supposed to be a document by the people to govern the people. Am I right?
Correct.
So what avenues do the people have right now to have any kind of input into the document being drafted?
You see?
I'm just asking.
I know you can submit your concerns and inquiries to their website. But I'm not doing this job because I don't want nobody to say I was not elected no delegate. So all I could tell you, to me, that's their responsibility. I'm not going to be no spokesperson for the Sixth Constitutional Convention. But I would just say to people,
now,
if you're interested, there's a website.
yeah, but I understand that we're in the digital age and what have you. But I recall in the past when I don't recall if it is the fifth or the fourth, whichever one it was, because I actually attended a session where I spoke. The delegates would be there. You could make your presentation in terms of what you felt or you figured should be included in the document, and even express your disagreement with what you saw in the draft. I recall attending a session where I spoke about certain things, and of course the delegates were there and they questioned you in terms of your presentation. Now that's the kind of dialogue I want to see between the delegates and the public, the voting public, where people can get face to face with them and discuss the issues, you know, at length, if I may put it that way. Not I disagree with this notion where somebody can just submit something via a website to these guys and they sit back and decide what they're going to do. No, allow for some measure of question answer so that we can determine what nuances we have to deal with, what creases we have to iron out, etc. And apparently that is not being done. So that what's going to happen is that something
They've
is
been
going.
having meetings, but the meetings are very limited because not everybody is comfortable doing a Zoom or um or the team. People are not comfortable with digital technology, so you need to meet people face to face, a person somehow. And I don't know why they weren't able to do that. They have none like that, where you had in each district, you say, hey, come and meet us. And you could see them in the flesh and you could ask questions. They haven't done anything like that.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you they ain't had enough money like this. But you mean to tell me they couldn't go on fundraise, get people to donate space? I mean, a place like the auditorium for the schools and the complex, or some place. I remember one time when it was held in the mall, Sunshine Mall. Remember that?
That's right.
That was a big area, and you met and you heard from the delegate.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had nothing like
You've got to take the message to the community. You have to provide avenues whereby the people can interface with you. And they're not doing that. So
you need people out there on the streets talking like what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell people I am not a delegate. I'm just, as a community activist, I'm informing you. Here's the public law. Be familiarized with the Revised Organic Act. I personally delivered the copy of the 65 Revised Organic Act, the book that was publishing in collaboration with Dr. Malik Siku, Dr. Paul Leary, and Patricia Welcome Esquire.
Mm-hmm.
I passed it on to talk show hosts, including yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's a bad word to say the word constitution. The elected official don't turn that with a 10-foot pole.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So if you're not out there, I don't know, everybody's not passionate, but especially in the St. Thomas district, to me, the vibe I get is, if it ain't broken, why fix it? Mm-hmm. We have a constitution. Wow. The attitude is we got the Revised Organic Act.
Uh-huh.
And they satisfied with that. The people went to the poll, got a referendum. Majority say yes, adopt the Revised Organic Act, so you would have been going to all of it.
All right.
That's it. Time and money. So anyway, I got a mouthful and more, but
yeah. Well, I wanted.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling and sharing. You take care.
Okay.
All right. Bye. All right. Let's see. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you and welcome.
Baptiste?
Yes, speaking.
Hi, morning. This is
Good morning. I recognize the voice. Welcome to the program. Good morning. Hope all is well.
Thank you. All is well. Good morning to you and your listening audience. I just want to correct some misinformation that you're getting because I personally attended three different committee meetings of the Sixth Constitution. One, as I recall, was UVI, one of the UVI rooms. The next one was at a conference room in the St. Croix Legislature building. And the third one also was at the St. Croix Legislature building. And each time there were other presenters there, and we were there, and were allowed to give presentation, comments or whatever to the committee.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you know that. And by the way, the reference to the memory that you have, that was the Constitution. I think we were in the old drive-in theater place there.
You are correct. You are correct.
When you came and gave that presentation.
Yes, you are correct. Which one was it you said? Was that the fifth?
That was the fifth, yes, because I was a delegate.
Okay, good memory. Good memory. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I'm happy. I'm glad that you're calling to let us know because, of course, I didn't know. That's why I asked the questions. But I'm glad that you called to let us know that.
Yeah, I recall that the one at UVI, there were three other presenters there who gave comments. The first one I went to at the legislature, because it was, I don't know if it's because it was a small room that they somehow put them into. There was one other lady there from the Department of Justice that was given opinion on a subject matter. And then the last time, it was, as a matter of fact, Dr. Brown and myself, that gave a presentation again to a committee there.
Well,
so it is open. I mean, I have not been engaged with the virtual thing because that's not my. But I understand that people have been allowed to engage in the virtual situation also.
Well, I appreciate the clarification. And whilst I have you there, I want to bring up something else because I speak of things that I see on social media from time to time. And there was that situation over at the Grove Place School where apparently a snake got in on the campus. And the manner in which they disposed of it, I thought it was bad for the children, who are observing what was happening. And I think we need to have some kind of program whereby we can instruct the public, the children in the schools about these snakes, that they're not venomous snakes. And just, some kind of educational approach so that we can better deal with these things. Reason why I say that, there was some blows inflicted on the snake, and I'm not holding anything against anybody because it's almost like uncharted territory that we're dealing with. But I found it was a little bit violent to me how they dealt with the snake. And I just hope that we can better address that, let people understand what's happening with those snakes, and be well instructed in terms of how we deal with them.
Well, let me first point out I did see the video, and to my estimation, what I saw was because there was no one present seemingly at the facility who was capable or willing to take a hold of the snake in a way that it would to keep it alive. That then the other option was
it had to be killed because the point was it would wander off and possibly go into area that they could not, get a hold of it or whatever. Just make sure I point out because I have asked questions. The gentleman that is employed at the planning and natural resource, who in the beginning was going out was the one that people would call to come and take the snake away. I'm understanding that he has been threatened that not to leave his job to do that anymore.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
What then are we left with? Because really, I think maybe the one or two people that he trained to how to get hold the snakes or whatever, but we don't have a team of people that you can say that people, the different offices, in particular the schools, would have a number that they could call somebody that is in the district, in the area, to go and take a hold of the snake. So the only other thing you can do is kill it to make sure to get rid of it, because let's make sure while they're not venomous, they still are dangerous, especially where children, primary grade children particularly, are concerned. And when we lack in the education as to the danger of the snake, you don't want to have children to get in the area because just like it was there at the Lily Rivera School by classrooms, it could have been the playground, because remember, we don't always regularly cut our grass, maintain the surroundings of campuses. Sometimes we see children playing in grass that is up to their waist. Now, depending on the size of the child, a snake can do damage and can be result in a fatal situation. So while it maybe did not look, was not of the best sight in the way we saw the gentleman get rid of the snake, there was no other option. Really.
Yeah, and
it was
and let me just say that I have nothing against the gentleman dealing with the snake at the spur of the moment where he was. My thing is that we need to have some kind of public awareness program whereby people, those who can deal with the snakes, maybe we can form a team so that whenever the snakes are sighted, those persons can be dispatched to deal with them. And I'm saying that because I know one guy who on his area, and that's in the Carlton area, he has caught about 16 snakes on his property. I know another individual in the right across the West Airport intersection, that area, which St. George's area. I know of an individual who has caught a couple of snakes in his yard. And then we're hearing at a yard in Grove Place, they caught about 3 or 4 snakes in just one day. I mean, come on, it's a major problem, and I just feel that.
Agreed. And I don't see why the Department of Planning and Natural Resource, which the whole situation comes under their jurisdiction, and the gentleman that was dealing with them in the beginning, the Fish and Wildlife Unit, why is it that our Department of Planning and Resource, the commissioner, whoever, cannot be have the foresight to say, well, okay, this is a problem. They're expanding. They're really reproducing faster than anyone can control. Why starting with the schools? Yes, they don't go around and give general assemblies to every school so the children will be aware of what to do, what not to do, and whatever.
Precisely.
And then from there on, have town meetings in each district for the public who's interested to come and find out how to deal with. Our government is not proactive. Why is it that the executive branch is not taking the forefront and arranging such things?
Absolutely.
Okay? Instead, the one person that can help is threatened. Okay? I stand to be corrected, but I got pretty good information that is
Wow.
So,
Wow.
it's our government it seems to be a pattern, Baptiste, that is we're going into a pattern that we have with this administration in particular, where it's not the people first.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the department or the government first.
Wow. Wow.
And we don't have enough people speaking out against those things in order to put the pressure for some adjustments to be made. But that is the adjustment I see needs to be made, and that is to put pressure on planning and natural resource, that gentleman that is well an expert and understanding the whole state situation, to give him the authority.
That's right.
To go out and be able to educate every other department and every other area, so that we would have more ways of addressing that snake situation, because this is the first time we've heard of it in an elementary school.
Yep.
Okay, and it's telling us that things are becoming more dangerous, and thanks to heaven that it was not a situation that was leading into some serious problem with a child, because as I said, small enough can get choked to death by one of those snakes if they wrap around them.
Absolutely. And it's a major problem, because I can tell you, we've seen pictures of them, people who stopped on the highway. They've now crossed into Enfield Green, which is the area where I live. They're just about everywhere on the island, and it's lots of them. And so I'm saying that it's incumbent upon those in authority to, find some ways and means of educating the people in terms of protecting themselves in such situations, and just knowing how best to deal with one when one is seen in the neighborhood.
I agree. And maybe we could all lift our voices to, as I said, encourage and lobby and advocate for the executive branch to do something, because they have, if nothing else, they have at least a person who can begin and work towards, a program that would help all of us.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to restate again that it's nothing against the gentleman who dealt with the situation. It's just the overall situation problem.
I agree with you. I agree with the tell you the truth. When I looked at it, I said, well, he did what he only could do, because none of them. If I was there, I definitely wasn't looking to get any way to secure the state. So
right.
He did what he could do, because you heard a woman in the state saying, don't kill it, but she wasn't looking to hold it.
Right. Wow.
And all it was doing was moving, and you didn't want to move to an area where you couldn't get it at all.
And this is just one area where we don't see responsiveness on the part of our representatives. But there are several areas of life where I feel that the people are not being made a priority, if I may. Several areas, and so we need to begin to speak out a little more.
I think that would be one way of doing it. Yes, we need people to speak out more about the services that we're not getting, that really the government is supposed to provide.
Right.
And don't let anybody intimidate you by telling you stop complaining, because I've heard that too. You have, it's not, somebody doesn't know if you're hurting if you don't say you're hurting.
People have a right to complain. People have a right to even take action. I'm not suggesting violent action, but sometimes you got to protest. You got to get out there. You have sit-down, sit-ins, all kinds of actions that you can take. And our people have just been too complacent, if I may ask. If I may say.
Seemingly our generation was the last for that.
Yeah, unfortunately. But,
hopefully, we keep hope alive, because nothing is permanent. It can always be changed.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
The people who want the change need to make the change happen.
Well, thanks for calling and sharing.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
All right, you be blessed. Bye. again, let me just say that, wow, there are just so many things that we need to address. Um, I see, just in terms of road repairs ongoing right now on the island of St. Croix. I can't speak for St. Thomas St. John because it's a while I've not been over there, but in terms of the island of St. Croix, I'm just seeing how, traffic is diverted at times. The poor signage that they put up, you're well up on a detour before you realize that, there is a detour. You can't continue to go straight ahead. They make it so difficult for us, when it comes to road repairs that are being undertaken and traffic being diverted. I was so pleased to see how quickly the government responded to the situation. For those of you who are familiar with the situation when you pass the Mother Williams Light intersection heading west on Queen Mary Highway Center Line, there was a situation where there is a bridge that had basically collapsed, and it presented a serious danger to the motoring public. Some vigilant, some observant citizen actually recorded or videotaped the situation with his cell phone, I suppose, and then had it posted on Facebook. And the government's response was quick. I guess they saw how serious a risk that the motoring public was facing, because just a few inches veering to the left, maybe like 6 inches, and the wheel of a vehicle could have dropped into the ditch. And it's a deep ditch, about the depth of a regular culvert, those culverts they have, for the bridges. And so once they saw that, they decided to move to address the situation. I even called the gentleman. I said to him, man, that was some quick response to the video that you posted. I saw equipment out there and, clearing up, etc. And then the very next Monday, I think that happened over the weekend, the very next Monday, the traffic was detoured, where you had to drive into Williams Light, get onto the Melvin Evans Highway, and then you could reconnect by going up there on the road through Carlton. However, they did not even post an early sign telling you that, you should detour on it. Well, simply no through traffic is what they needed to say. There is no through traffic beyond this point. So that folks would know you don't have to drive past Kmart and to find that the road is blocked and you have to turn around. But it's just poor how they do it. Hello, caller. Good day and welcome.
Hey, how you doing today, Senator Baptiste, on this beautiful Monday morning?
It is indeed a beautiful Monday morning for us here in the Virgin Islands, and I hope in your neck of the woods, wherever you are, it's not a beautiful Monday morning for a number of people. Lost you there. I don't know why, but as I was saying, it's not a beautiful Monday morning for lots of folk out there, especially in the areas of Haiti, Dominican Republic, couple of others. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. Jamaica is in line right now, facing a possible Category 5 hurricane. And so suddenly, it's not a beautiful Monday morning for those people out there. Cuba included as well, and the Turks and Caicos Islands and a couple of others. But we're doing fine here in the territory. Let's see.
You see how they stare at me, Philip?
All right, I don't know. Problem with the telephone. I guess some technical difficulties. So anyway, 773-0390, 773-0490. So as I was saying, relative to the road work being done on the island of St. Croix at the present time, the signs that the folks are erecting to show that there is construction work ongoing and that you need to either be cognizant that a lane has been closed or you have to make a detour, folks. It's not being done well. You know, they can do a much better job in terms of dealing with that. And so I wanted to point that out. The other thing I want to mention, I have said it before, but I want to repeat again, as far as road repairs and road maintenance is concerned, I noticed that our roads are not properly striped in several areas, and I want to mention a few. When you're coming down on the Melvin Evans Highway and you get to the East Airport intersection, I mean, this is just real bad. First of all, the road needs to be, there are some serious potholes in that area that need to be addressed. And in addition to that, it needs to be striped. You don't know which lane is where, so that people get all confused when they get to that area. Those who want to make a left turn, find a left turn going towards Newark, they find that they're being impeded by people who are going straight ahead east, but they found themselves so much in the left quadrant of the road that they're impeding or obstructing the persons who want to make a left turn to go towards the correctional facility or towards Newark, or even going on to Complex and other areas out in that area. So that needs to be addressed. And the other area that we need to address is when you come in, well, that I have seen, when you're heading into town, into Christensen town, and you get to the area of Contentment where you can either head towards Pueblo or you can go straight towards Gasaway, I think is the gas station that you have out there. That area is not striped. And you know what's going to happen? Somebody is going to find themselves in the wrong spot and perhaps clash with traffic heading west on Center Line, and it's going to be a nasty accident, especially in the evening. And so I just want those of you who are listening, who represent government sectors, whether it is public works or public safety. And when I speak of public safety, I'm speaking of the police department. I often come here and just mention public safety, and sometimes folks do not know exactly who I'm referring to, but I'm referring to the police department. Listen, guys, you drive on the roads, you see what's happening. So please, let's take some steps to make sure that we have proper striping on the roadways, especially when it comes to traffic merging into another area, so that people can stay in the proper lane and we avoid accidents. And then, of course, the areas where we have those potholes, I know that recently some work has been done to address some potholes in some areas, but we still have some outstanding areas where we need to do something about it. Let's just make sure that we have those areas corrected, so that we make the driving process a little more comfortable and safe for folks who are using the highways here on the island of St. Croix. The other thing I wanted to touch upon this morning is that yesterday when I went, and let me just say what the event was. We had an observation of Creole Day at the St. Croix Drive-In. And for those who don't know, you have a number of islands or nations in the Caribbean that were one time under British rule and another time under French rule. So there is this melange, this mix of French culture and English or British culture in those islands. Dominica is one, St. Lucia is another, and it extends beyond just the Caribbean because in West Africa you have a number of countries out there that were under a heavy um, French influence. And so all these persons, they have what you call Creole culture, and they celebrate that culture. It involves their cuisine, it involves their language, etc. For example, in St. Lucia and Dominica, folks speak a patois or Creole, which is a mix of some French dialects or an African dialects as well. So it's a mix of French, it's a mix of African and a mix of English, if I may. Um, and it's not just the Creole, the French Creole. You also have like English patois being spoken in some of the islands, but they don't often or usually refer to it as Creole. Nonetheless, we have that Creole background, and so it is celebrated in some of the islands. And so yesterday we had this big celebration over at the drive-in of the St. Croix drive-in, and I went by to support and to enjoy, whatever goodies they have. Usually when we have these celebrations, there is a lot of traditional cuisine being shared and things being sold, and so you know you go out there and you enjoy. And so I had some discussions with some folks, but before I get into that, let me just hear what the scholar has to say. I've been missing some calls. Hello, caller. Good day.
Yes, my brethren, how are you today?
I'm doing fine so far. I was just about getting into a little discussion of a celebration which was held at the drive-in yesterday, but I'll get back to that later. Let me hear you. I've not heard you in a while.
Yes, okay, right. I don't know if you mentioned this before, and you might have. We need to offer some prayers for the folks in the region, Jamaica, Haiti, Bermuda, and those areas that will be getting some of the wrath of this Hurricane Melissa.
Mm-hmm. I didn't call for prayers, but somebody called earlier and asked me how I was doing on this beautiful Monday morning, and I said that it's beautiful for us here on the island of St. Croix in particular, but it is not so for folks out there in Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos, etc.
Exactly, and particularly Jamaica, because that's where it's going to make landfall at a category 5. These are some rough, perilous times we are seeing. And instead of the misleaders leading us into this type of God-fearing way, they continue to try to bamboozle us and try to make wrong right. But we know better, so we will do what we know to do. And let me just say quickly, then I'll go
before
what you got to say.
And I want to hear what you have to say, but let me just say this here. When you speak about leadership, which is inadequate in the territory specifically, let's leave the other areas for now and let's just deal with this jurisdiction.
Okay.
And we can extend that nationally as well, to include the government of the United States as well. But when you look at what's happening locally, the frustration, the dissatisfaction that we see in the people, and even their basic distrust of government and government's activities, how best can we deal with that without resorting to expressions that come off as being violent, uncouth, if I may? How best do we deal with that?
Well, what even though I am seeing or feeling very strongly that these misleaders seemingly only react to violence. However, we'll put that aside and say that we got to keep them up in prayers. I mean, the Bible says you got to even pray for your enemies, and I consider them to be enemies. But if you elected to office, and this is how you're treating people, then you are an enemy that only use the people to get elected. You know, and you know, locally the criticism is coming from even nationally, where our governor is being criticized for seeing the occupation, the military occupation in the island as a plot for the Virgin Islands because they're buying a lot of rum. You know, I mean, my God, how come everyone has seen it as a problem in that it places attack a big X and the little Virgin Islands? We're talking about being in a war zone now. Unless his feeling or thinking is the same as the president, that these Hispanicos is not going to rebel and they're going to simply take it and say, thank you for killing our fisherman name. Thanks very much. You know, these people could revolt, and they go for a soft target, and yes, the Virgin Islands is a very soft target. And if there's any wonder why there are so much nuclear subs and destroyers and aircraft carriers in the region, is because the president has fast come to realize that he has disturbed a hornet's nest. You know, there's a way to do things. You can't just think or believe someone is trafficking in drugs. They're going to bomb the hell out of them, and all the people doing is trying to get fish to feed their families.
So let me ask you a question. Let's look at the national level. Who is the Secretary of State?
Rubio.
What's his background, ethnicity wise? What's his background?
None of those folks that Trump has placed in the position fired up generals that knows about wars and put these clowns in these positions because he can what you call micromanage them and tell them what to do.
Okay,
some generals are either leaving the post or giving up careers because they will not be told to do the wrong thing by the likes of Donald Trump.
So let me ask you now. You take Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
He is Hispanic.
Yes.
And I'm certain he's familiar with the history of Central and South America, and by extension, the Caribbean islands of Cuba and Dominican Republic.
Well, he should be.
So how can he now, as Secretary of State, sit aside and watch what is happening in the Caribbean that involves Hispanics and not take a stand and speak with the president and ask the president to tone down a bit, in terms of the approach?
Well, how I see that, John, is that a guy like Marco, he need a work. He need a work. He need to make a couple $100,000, and his family, or by extension, his heritage, be damned. You see? And we have so much of that back home. I speak with a lot of people in positions, and they keep telling me, the son, I know that the governor doing wrong. For me telling him nothing because he's going to get mad at me and want to fire me. Well,
sometimes
fired to know what fire is, and I've been fired, so I know what it is.
Sometimes, my brother, silence is treason.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying that's why you see I take a certain position in terms of Haiti and what's happening in Haiti today. And whilst I agree that, the Haitian people have a lot to do in terms of resolving the situation out there, but I also look at the genesis of what's going on in Haiti. And there are outside parties that have given cause for what's going on in Haiti. And they ought to be held accountable.
Let me tell you something, John. The weapons that those that's being used in a civil war, in gang warfare in Haiti are American weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They were given to these people to destroy one another. It has become a theater, it's become a big movie, and everybody just sitting back and watching and laughing. And this is why I always talk to my folks, black folks, and to be careful of what we're doing. We need to love each other more and stop hating each other. Lest we continue to play into the hands of the cabal and the white boys who want to see us destroy one another.
So let me ask you now. We've had all of this talk about, and this is Caribbean wide. It's not just in the Virgin Islands, but Caribbean wide. We've heard talks about seeking reparations from European colonial powers that enslaved and mistreated our ancestors here in these parts. Now, if there is a scenario where it is alleged that a group of innocent fishermen were hit, perhaps some mistaken identity, what have you, but for some reason the vessel was struck and people injured, people killed, don't you think that the entire Caribbean region should come together and take a position on that and demand certain, certain forms of repair, if I may?
Of course, you see, and this is why I like leaders, and I say that very strongly, like even little Barbuda that says to Trump and the bunch of them, you're not going to use us as nobody. Mia Motley, the PNM of Barbados, said it last night. No, the fellow from Grenada said it too. But the Virgin Islands is welcoming it.
Yeah, but here is the thing, my brother. Sometimes it is the method we choose to go forward that brings about positive results. And what I'm saying is that it's incumbent upon, yes, individuals stepping up and saying, well, they disagree with this, they disagree with that. But I'm saying by now there should have been a concerted approach by Caribbean governments to call for an immediate meeting with the United States government and to express their disapproval, dissatisfaction with what's going on. And I don't think the United States would take that lightly if CARICOM came together and said to the United States government, we disapprove of what's going on here. We don't like how it's being done. And we think that steps should be taken to reverse course.
Yes, and you're right. I mean, that is so profound a statement that you made, because we as blacks in the Caribbean and the region have to realize that we do have a modicum of strength if we band together. And this is why some folks on the mainland, and I happen to be one of them, that's trying to see if we can do another, what we call, ban the dollar day. My black folks are very expensive. They spend a lot of money. And you withhold $1 million black men, withhold $1
here is another
we
thing.
have to come together.
Here is,
That's what we don't like to come together.
here is another thing I want to share with you, and I hope that it gets to some of our leaders in the Caribbean. There is an old saying, the enemy of my friend is my enemy.
All right.
Okay? Now, we've had an ongoing dispute between Guyana and Venezuela over the Essequibo region.
True.
And I'm going to say this without fear of any kind of pushback from any source. Now is a time when Guyana and Venezuela should come together, perhaps being brought to the table by other forces in the Caribbean, so that they can resolve this dispute once and for all.
Yep. True.
You follow?
True. Yep.
At this point in time, when there is a need for Caribbean solidarity, that's when these islands should come together with the parties in Guyana and the parties in Venezuela and say, listen, now, you know what? Let's resolve this issue once and for all. Because whilst we keep fighting each other, it's easy for some power on the outside to come and decimate us.
Exactly.
But when we stand as one in unity, we're stronger.
True.
And so I'm saying that
unity,
it's, you know.
Unity, there is strength.
Yep. Yep. I am not, listen, I'm telling you, if I was in a position in one of these islands right now, a position of leadership, I'll be pushing for this kind of dialogue.
Of course.
You know. But
of course,
unfortunately,
Yeah, but let me just say it and go. The situation with one man that from the time he campaigned and when he get the 2025 plan together, we know that he is looking to be a king and or a dictator. This is what he's looking for. And there are them and those in the United States, and yes, even in the Virgin Islands, that wishing that he could become that type of ruler. I don't know if they realize what they will be getting out of it or not getting. But that is their choice, as they like to say. That's my choice. Well, hold on to your choice. But we have come to so low now that one man, the devil incarnate, the axis of evil, can turn not America, the entire world upside down. Give me a break.
Well,
I'll continue to listen.
Yeah, well, let me just, before you go, let me just say this here, in terms of our local leadership. I don't want to be too harsh on the governor. I think what the governor did was that there was an immediate reaction in terms of a perceived economic benefit from the presence of a large number of persons on island being consumers and participating in the economic activities in the place. I think that was his first look at the issue without considering further implications in terms of other jurisdictions that would be negatively impacted.
What if it's speed or hurry, dark, eat, ramen style is any teaching to him from the tail that he's getting out even from the national side, he should understand that when you're thinking, you have to think pro and con.
Yeah.
You can't be looking for sweet without bitter, brother. That they come together. You see? But anyway, I'll continue to pray for him. People tell me I don't like him. I don't like what he does.
I hear you.
So fantastic with it. I could be his father. I don't have nothing against the young man. I saw him grow up. His parents and I were very good friends. grave
Mm-hmm.
for the foolishness young Albert Bryan Jr. is doing. If I was his father from my grave, I would have taken the name from him.
All right. All right then.
Okay.
Thanks. You take care. Be blessed. Bye. All right. Let me just before I even round up what I was saying about Creole Day celebrations over the drive-in yesterday, let me just say that the, the governor's position is a little difficult, if I may, because the governor is the chief executive here in the territory, a territory which belongs to the United States of America, and consequently, if I may put it bluntly, subservient to the federal government. And I've always said that members of a family need to understand the importance of banding together, sticking together, not airing their dirty linen publicly. And so I think I can understand the governor's position in not wanting to say anything that would appear to contradict what the United States government is doing here in the territory. I understand that. He's got to walk a tightrope, if I may. He's got to be very careful in terms of how he handles whatever he chooses to say about the ongoing developments in the Caribbean because of his position, the office he holds as governor of the United States Virgin Islands. And so I understand where he comes from when he says that the presence of troops here on the island does bring some economic benefits to the territory. I understand that. We want to see the wheels of economic activity spinning, going well. I understand that. But I'm certain the governor understands the dynamic of, the whole picture where it comes to, the conflict, the political conflict that exists, etc., and the steps that the United States government is taking. And so I would just ask that persons give that some consideration when you evaluate and characterize that statement that came from the governor. Just wanted to say that I am not involved. I'm not in office right now, so I feel a little more comfortable in terms of placing my positions from a historical perspective on the table, knowing what has happened in Haiti, knowing what's going on between Guyana and Venezuela, looking at the geopolitical framework that we find ourselves in. I feel a little more comfortable because I can speak freely in terms of expressing my views, my opinions, my take on these matters. If I were a sitting senator here, I might have exercised greater caution in terms of what I have to say. And whether we like it or not, the chief executive of the United States of America is our chief executive. And so we have to respect the office. We may disagree with what he's doing, but we respect the office. And I would suggest that, we're a little cautious in terms of how we characterize the individual and his actions. Having said that, I want to thank those who listened to the program this morning. And until next week, same time, same place, you stay safe, be blessed, give thanks and praises. And don't forget, Friday evenings from 7 to 8:30, we have the program Choices. So we'll reconnect there. Bye. Good.